Hello, my name's Annika and welcome back to the Sewing Nook. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this daisy granny square purse. For this project you will need 27 daisy granny squares. Once you finish making all 27 of them and tie in all the tails, you're going to place 2 of them right sides together and take some matching yarn and go through the top loops and sew them together. Use that method until all of your daisy granny squares are into 3 increment strips, and then put 2 of those strips together and do the same thing, right sides together, and sew through the top loops on each one. Do this until you have 2 squares that are 3 by 3 and then 3 strips. Then to make that top flap, chain stitch the length of one of the squares that's 3 by 3. And crochet until you have 3 of these knot looking things. A quick disclaimer, I am not a professional crocheter and I don't know all of the terminologies, but I will try to explain it to the best of my ability. So once you've done the 3 knots, you're going to start skipping a stitch whenever you start. So you won't go on the first one, but you'll go on the second one. And then same thing whenever you end, you skip one right before the last one. Keep doing this until you have 6 of those knots, so you'll have the first 3 that we did, and then 3 more whenever we were taking away a stitch. Fold it in half and then place a pin at the middle point. Then crochet to a little bit just before the center, making sure you still take away a stitch whenever you start. Once you get just like 2 stitches away from the center, you're going to chain 3 stitches. Then you're going to count 3 stitches and go in the third one, so you're only skipping 2 stitches. Crochet 2 more of those knots, remembering to still take away a stitch whenever you start and finish. Now the flap for your purse looks something like this: the original 3 knots, the 3 more knots to the opening, and then the 2 more knots. Crochet 1 stitch and then pull your yarn through and weave it in. Now we're going to put the white trim around the edge. I decided to use a crochet hook that was 1 size larger than the one I had used to make the granny squares and make the flap. So tie some white onto the widest part of our flap and put your crochet hook through and pull some through, stitch, and then put it back through the same hole, pull it through, pull your yarn through 1 hoop, and then get more yarn and pull through both hoops. Then go through the second hoop, pull yarn through, put yarn through the first hoop, and then more yarn through the second hoop. And repeat this till you get to the end. Once you get to the end, do your regular stitch, and then do 1 more stitch. Cut the yarn, then pull that thread through and weave it in. And your flap is done. For the strap, you need to chain stitch until you can stretch it to 46 inches. Crochet back and forth until you have 3 of those knots. Once you've done that, do 1 more crochet stitch and then cut your yarn and pull your yarn through and weave that tail in. Next, for the lining, start by tracing out 2 of the squares, making sure to give at least 1/4 inch seam allowance, and 3 of the strips. Sew your strips together lengthwise using the same method, and then sew them to one of the main squares on the sides and bottom, again using the same method. Sew the other main piece onto those strips as well, and then your bag should be looking something like this. Then cut out a rectangle that measures 12 inches by 8 inches for the zipper pocket in the purse, so this is optional. Then take a zipper that is 9 inches or longer and cut it to 8 inches. Serge along the 2 shorter ends of your rectangle. Then place your zipper face down on the edge that we just serged and sew it down using a zipper foot. Give it a press and then top stitch along that edge. Then repeat for the other side, put your zipper face down on the serged edge and sew across. Give it a press and then take your zipper off and top stitch along that side. Give it another press and then put your zipper back on and zip it closed, and then put your zipper back on again so that both sides are closed. Make sure there is at least a 4-inch opening in the middle. Turn it inside out and then measure 1 1/4 inches from the top to the zipper and then serge along the sides. Turn it right side out and then place it in the middle of one of your main lining pieces. For me, that was 2 inches from the top and bottom and 1 1/4 inches from the sides. Pin that in place and then sew around the entire thing. Once you've done that, pin the strips onto the main piece with the pocket and serge along the sides, and then repeat this for the bottom and the other side, and then serge the strips together. And your lining should look something like this. Now we're going to serge our other main piece to the strips as well. Then press the top of the lining 1/4 inch towards the wrong side. Next, for the main bag, we're going to sew our straps in onto the sides of the bags using some green thread. Make sure you put the straps on the inside of the bag when you're sewing them in, so that once we put the lining in, you won't be able to see the ends. Do this on both sides, making sure that you don't twist the strap. Then with right sides together, place your flap onto one of the sides of the bags and sew it together, going through the upper loop of the bag and the upper loop of the flap. Now your bag is almost complete. To finish up, put the lining in, making sure that your zipper pocket is on the same side as the flap. Start pinning the lining to the main bag, and then once you have it pinned all the way around, sew around the entire thing. Last but not least, place your flap on the top and find where your button needs to go, and then sew your button in place. And your bag is complete. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and thank you so much for watching.